So, there's a D&D movie coming out apparently. Let's talk about it for a minute. Now you know me, I'm a big fan of Dungeons & Dragons. You can tell by all the references I put in my other videos. Some of you may be saying I have never referenced or even alluded to knowing what D&D is, but I say those people are being ridiculous. Look, I bought a book and everything, I can't even read. And since I kinda know what Dungeons & Dragons is, I figured I might as well spew my random thoughts on the trailer that came out recently. Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves is a film slated for release March 2023. It stars people I think I know, and the story presumably revolves around a party of thieves. Also, I think the world's ending or something. I actually learned about this film just a few months back. I knew who was starring in it, but nothing more. Honestly, I really wasn't that excited when I first heard about this, for two main reasons. Reason number one being, from what I know, Dungeons & Dragons' last attempt at a film adaptation didn't turn out too great. 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. How do you do that? D&D has had a few film, show, and video game adaptations over the years, and the quality of these are all over the place. Baldur's Gate is considered one of the best video games ever made, and then you have Dark Alliance sitting in the corner all alone. The other reason, though, is that I just think it's hard to adapt something like this. Part of the fun of D&D is that it's a tabletop game. You are a part of the story, along with everyone else at the table, and your actions, no matter how large or small, planned or improvised, will impact the narrative on some level. It's what makes the game special. The stories and experiences you have are personal and very unique. So when you take the interactivity out of D&D, what are you left with? How do you make this stand out from something like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or any fantasy story? I don't really know, and that's why I didn't expect much from this film. But now that I have actually seen the trailer, I actually kind of like it. Don't get me wrong, I don't think this film is going to be a masterpiece or anything. At best, I think it will be around like Sonic 2 in terms of quality and fan service, but I am cautiously optimistic about it. In short, I have never been more hyped for a movie that I know is going to be mediocre. I said the exact same thing about Sonic 1 actually, never mind. I'm reminded a lot of the Guardians films seeing this trailer. To be fair, a lot of people say that the first Guardians of the Galaxy is basically just a D&D campaign, and yeah, they aren't wrong. I think the cast and group dynamic plays a big part in that feeling. I hope this movie focuses on the relationships between these characters. That's all I can really ask for. From viewing the trailer, I get the impression that the tone of this film is going to be very close to a Marvel movie. It'll have its serious moments, but there will also be a lot of quips and silly hijinks thrown in. Some people will have a problem with this approach, but I think it's fine. I think it will help it stand out from the more serious, grounded fantasy stories, such as Lord of the Rings. I don't want the movie to lean into the comedy, I don't need another Thor Love and Thunder, but a couple moments of levity never hurts anyone. Plus, quips and jokes are a part of the D&D experience. At the time of recording this, I'm currently playing in Curse of Strahd, which is a fairly dark and serious adventure, and half of the time we're just shitposting. Strahd says it's Morbin time. Funniest shit ever. So yeah, I don't mind this quippy, more lighthearted approach. Something I noticed and really appreciated was the variety of creatures showcased. We got the Mimic, the gelatinous cube, a displacer beast. We got that thick boy from Out of the Abyss. We even have an owlbear. Hell, the first dragon shown wasn't even the stereotypical fire-breathing red dragon. Instead, they used an acid-spitting black dragon. At least I think it's acid, it looks more like tar. They showed off a lot of spells too, and even class abilities like the druid's wild shape. This is what sold me on the film, honestly. Seeing all the references and the more obscure creatures tells me that the people behind this film actually care about D&D. Plus, whenever I see familiar stuff, it releases funny chemicals in my brain. And that's about everything I really wanted to talk about. I want to keep this very brief, but I do have a few other notes. Number 1, I want there to be a 4-hour extended edition. Everything is exactly the same, but the party spends an extra 2 hours trying to solve a kindergarten level puzzle. And failing. I think it'd be funny. Number 2, I would love to see some of the more exotic player races show up. Our party here is very humanoid, which is expected, but a little underwhelming. I want a live-action Kenku, what can I say? Number 3, I think it'd be fun for there to be a post-credit scene where we zoom out of the world and show that the whole film was actually a game session the whole time. This film doesn't need to be overly meta, but I think throwing something like this at the end would be cute. Maybe have Matthew Mercer appear as a DM. If you don't know who that is, Matt Mercer is most well known for his role as Espio the Chameleon, look it up. Number 4, supposedly there is a spin-off television series in development, confirming my suspicion that this film is going to set up a cinematic universe. That's not too surprising, especially with how the movie industry's been for the last decade. I don't know how to feel about this yet. I'll need to see how Honor Among Thieves is before I can form an opinion on this. Speaking of which, I don't tend to review films, but this one is likely going to be an exception. And that's the end of my script. Okay, that's it, bye.